This is Sean McAfee. You're listening to the Nissan Nation podcast. Hashtag Shemog style. You heard it here first. Locked it down.
The Nissan Nation podcast is a presentation of DRB and KGB Media.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in the hosts, David and Danny.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? From all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to wherever our people here. We got Chema in the background. I think he's in San Francisco. We got Aaron up in Washington. We got Daniel over there in Moore Park. I don't know where Danny lives. Danny, where you live?
Yo.
You're in the, what's your area code, Danny?
I'm in the 805, man.
805, like that beer, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So we posted up that we were going to do some fun here and try to bring as many people on Google Live as we can. And so far early on, we've had a couple people pop on. Aaron, what is the name of your podcast again?
The Off-Road Podcast.
Yeah, and we've got Mr. Chema or SFA. I don't know what he goes by, man. Mr. Badass there.
Chema, still Chema. SFA is the truck.
Chema is literally walking through the airport in where are you at? San Francisco?
We're having a little step-by-step airport look. As Chema's just cruising through the airports looking like a terrorist.
I feel like we're creeping on
like
you.
I totally terrorist. Yeah. I just got my bag. Nice. And I'm here at home in San Francisco.
Well, man, I guess go Giants. I don't know much about San Francisco, man.
What's that?
I said I don't know much about San Francisco. What is it?
Other than the San Francisco Giants?
Yeah.
The best MLB team in the world?
Yeah, I figured you'd say that. Danny's a Dodgers fan. I don't know about Aaron. Aaron, do you like baseball at all?
I'm not into sports ball much.
No foosball for you?
No.
Well, so we have zero plan about this show. You'd think 2.5 weeks ago we would have came up with a plan on what we were going to do, but we're just going to say screw it, and we're just going to have fun here tonight. So, Danny, what's up in your world, buddy?
Not too much. I'm just listening to the announcements of Chema. The background of Chema's airport announcements.
The white zone is for offloading only.
You're looking to get your baggage. No, I just finished a little nighttime surf session, which is a little trippy.
How's the water there? Is it cold?
You put a wetsuit on, you're good. So.
Oh, I hear airplanes now.
Yeah.
Or is that your house, Aaron? I mean, I can't tell. Does any of our other listeners? Oh, there went Chima. Any of our other listeners want to jump on that live near an airport or anything? I mean, feel free to get outside and do the show with us. So, Danny, was the water cold? I mean, what is wintertime water?
Yeah, it's a little bit cold right now. I got a good wetsuit though, so it's not unbearable or anything. It was just kind of wild being out there because it was like getting pretty dark as we were going out, and we were out in the waves, and it gets to a point to where the water and the horizon are the exact same color.
Oh wow!
Unless the waves are really, unless they have a lot of texture to them, you can't see them, and the wind died off totally. So it's one of the, I haven't been out in like the dark like that in the waves in a long, long time. So it's an eerie feeling to have. You can kind of see something coming towards you,
mm-hmm.
but you really have to be on the ball because it's freaky. I mean, it's nothing but like dark gray for as far as the eye can see.
Now this will sound.
There's no horizon really.
This will be a stupid question, but are there like killer whales and stuff you've got to worry about, especially at night? I'm showing my lack of knowledge here.
Yeah, supposedly sharks get really hungry at like when the sun goes down or something.
I thought you were going to say horny,
me, but
like run, Danny.
I play the old the adage that I'm more likely to die in a car crash and get eaten by a shark. So I don't worry about those things.
That's right, man. You're part of the G.I. Joe network, buddy. They're scared of you.
Yeah. I just growl at him and punch him, man.
Well, we glad you made it back for the show, Dan. I mean, if you're gonna do
Always.
some nighttime surfing, we're happy to have you back. So we got Mr. Aaron there, and I know, Aaron, you had a question. You've hit me up several times about it, and I'm going to leave this one to Danny. Was more of a mechanic than I was. I know mechanics, but Danny
it's not a BMW though.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, if it's not a BMW, I'm basically guessing.
So go ahead, Aaron. What's your? I know you're having an issue with your Frontier, right? Lay it out for us. What year, and tell us a little bit about what you've done to it.
So I've got an '08 Frontier Nismo Crew Cab, automatic transmission. I like to use it for mild off-roading, lots of camping and overlanding duty and stuff like that. And it seems like after I go driving for a couple hours, so everything's been working long and hard, and when I load out to go camping, I got everything in the kitchen sink, so I'm loaded heavy. And I drive hard too. I drive it like I stole it. After a few hours, and then I hit the trail, not much into the trail, I'll get a banging sensation in my rear end. And I'm talking about the truck, not my personal rear end.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say that
was a different
would be a
podcast.
different, yeah,
It's a different podcast.
I would have to delve into my other specialties in order to diagnose that one.
There's no diagnosis needed on that. I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
So what
Anyhow.
kind of what mods have you done to this vehicle? I mean, what size tires?
So I run a 33-inch tire. I just stepped down to a 32. I was running the KM2s, and I want to switch over to the KO2s, and I like the tall, skinny tires, 255, 85, 16s.
Yep.
And they don't make that in the KO2. They don't make really any tall, skinny tire unless I stepped up to a 34, and I think the 34 is going to rub with
17-inch wheels, right?
or if I went to 17s or something, and I just didn't feel like spending that money. So I've got a 3-inch spacer lift up front. I've never had any coil bucket contact.
Wow.
So that's worked for me. And in the back end, I've got a custom leaf pack that a local company made for me. They added 2 leaves. They added a 1-inch spacer at the bottom, and then they re-arced the leaves for me and then installed it all stock shackles. And I probably got 5 inches of lift in the back. So I've got a real big rake on my truck. But like I said, I load it down heavy, so it flattens out. Or the line of the truck, not the springs, flatten out.
Right. Now with the rear leaf, the first thing that I always go to for anybody that's having any kind of like weird rear end noises or problems is there's been so many times where the rear U-bolts will loosen up and cause shifting in the leaf pack. And if you're cruising down the road just regular and you're not doing much, it's not going to put any of that torsion on them. But if you're going off-road at all, it's going to put a lot of weird, axle rep style torsion on those leaves. And one of the things that we've run into so many times at Nistec is people don't re-torque those U-bolts, especially if they're new U-bolts. You torque them, you go 100 miles, torque them, go 200 miles, torque them, go like 500 miles, torque them, up to like it's like a 5 torque cycle, because there's quite a few people that we know personally that they've loosened up on a trail, and you can get, if that rear end shifts a little, or if that rear axle shifts on those leaf springs a little bit, you'll get all kinds of weird clunking from CV angles and etc.
Yeah, and there's been a problem.
So that would be like the first thing that I would look at.
Yeah, and there was a lot of problem with what they're breaking the center, or not breaking the center pins, but they're loosening up and breaking the.
You can shear the center that, which really that's more of like a locator. It's not actually supposed to do much other than locate it on the way down and kind of keep those leaves from moving. That those U-bolts really are made to sandwich that so it doesn't move. And if you get any movement, it's kind of starts to be bad news real quick.
And if you do get some movement, what you're probably stretching the U-bolts a little bit, and I would probably say a brand new set of U-bolts.
The first thing I would do is take a wrench and check all those U-bolts and see if any of them are loose at all. If any of them are loose at all, I'd probably just get a new set of U-bolts. They're pretty cheap, and throw a new set of U-bolts on. It's like the first thing I would do. If they're all super tight and you can tell that, there's not any kind of movement back there on the rear leaves, then it's time to kind of move into, I would say, driveline, possibly.
Which I think from what we've discussed in emails, you are going into limp mode too, or what's it doing?
Yeah. So when I get to banging, a bunch of lights light up on the dash, the LCD or whatever it is, the indicator that shows if you're in 4 high, 4 low, 2-wheel, that just completely goes blank. And because it's an automatic, it goes into 4th gear, and you're just stuck in 4th gear. Yeah, it's a definite limp mode after this banging. Does it
kind of cool down then? I mean, if you stop and let it shut the vehicle off, does it, like, you feel like it's cooling down and then it's coming back to where it should be? Or
yeah, after I kind of diagnosed that it was after driving for a long time, and so I am assuming it's because things got hot. If you do let it sit and cool down, obviously you have to clear the limp mode. And before I had a programmer kind of thing, I would just pull the negative battery cable for a couple minutes and then connect it back up. But yeah, after it cooled down and did that, it always was good. And here's the other weird thing. So it happens in 2 high, it happens in 4 high, but it's never happened in 4 low.
Well, when you're running in a 4 low, man, your transmission's running a lot cooler. Now, you've done the bypass on this, right? For the SMOD? No.
Yes, yeah, I did that a long time ago, and recent, and I believe on the Nismo it has a auxiliary cooler in addition to cooling it through the transmission.
Well, there's a trans cooler on the front. I've noticed, and I don't know the temperatures that you're kind of in when you're out there, but and I think Dave's experienced this a couple times, is when you part of the fluid going through the radiators. So even if you're not moving a lot and you're in, let's say you're doing something where you're stopping and going a little bit more, and it's not moving a lot of air over that auxiliary cooler, it's not cooling as efficiently as if it was going through the radiator, then through the cooler.
What I know
we.
Sorry,
go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, I experienced what you're kind of saying, Aaron, and I did the bypass. And yeah, you've got two transmission coolers on this. You got one up front, a little tiny one, and you've got the one that's actually in the radiator. And like Dan was saying, when you're stopping, letting it idle a lot, you're not circulating through there. And of course, these are little electric fans, and I bet money you're hearing that fan kick on a lot when you're stopped. You'll hear it and then shut down a lot. What most people, and I know this was a problem at Moab a couple years ago, a lot of people went ahead and bought an extra transmission cooler, and then they've went ahead and put a fan on it, like a little 9-inch electric fan. And that'll, because what you're saying is exactly what my truck did at Went one year. I unfortunately had Nissan impressed with me when it did it, so it was quite embarrassing. But yeah, it went right to limp mode. All those lights you were saying, the 4-wheel drive disappears, and that's really what I would. And Danny may agree or disagree, but that's really what it sounds like it's doing.
There's kind of two options. Yeah, there's kind of two options that I suggest in that situation. The bypass is good, especially for the earlier models. I think it's 05 to 09 roughly is when it was a radiator issue where the transmission fluid, breaks down the aluminum and the seal goes, and then it mixes with the radiator fluid. What you can do is, one, you could get a newer radiator like a CFS radiator, and then you can put it back through that radiator, and then it won't cross contaminate, because that fluid can't it won't cross contaminate because it doesn't have that problem anymore with the newer CSF radiators.
Right.
And the second thing is I would say I personally don't think you actually need a different trans cooler, because I bought a trans cooler for my truck, my 06 when I had it, and I put it up next to the stock trans cooler, and the stock trans cooler was actually bigger than the one I had, and so I was like, you know what, just put a fan on it. And if you're in a situation where you're off-roading and stuff like that, you're not driving fast, you just click that fan on, and that fan will keep that trans cool. But in truth, I think the best thing to do is to keep that trans at its optimal temperature, and that's done through the radiator, just as designed. I mean, they designed that trans to have that same temperature, and if it's fluctuating a huge amount, because too cold isn't good either. You don't want your trans fluid, super thick. You want it at the operating temperature or whatever. So those are kind of like my two fixes for that specific problem. If that's your problem, it could be something else. But those are kind of like the issues that I've seen that happen with the failsafe a number of times. And when it goes into failsafe, it doesn't. The truck acts super stupid. Right. It just starts flinging lights
and part of these vehicles, like I was saying earlier, the 4-wheel high is like strictly it. I don't know if it's the setup of it, but it's really made for more high speed stuff. I rarely ever, if I'm going in 4-wheel, I'm always 4-wheel low, and it will definitely keep your temperatures down a lot, and make that transmission happier. I would try it next time you're out on the trails there. Just
Whoa!
Somebody popping in.
Someone just hopped in. It's Angel.
Angel. But and also I will say that I noticed right now that Off-Road Gorilla has a used. It's not the CFS that Danny was talking about.
Griffin.
They have a Griffin radiator for sale. I think it's like $200 right now, dude. And if I had the extra cash, I would be all over it, honestly. And I know he's posted it in some of the Xterra and Frontier Facebook pages, so you may check that out. But next time you're 4-wheel drive, man, definitely keep it in 4-low and just see if that helps you. Like, and far as the rear popping, I bet you are getting a little axle wrap on that, and you may even try to look at that pack. And sometimes you can't see when you've got a split, one of those leaves are cracked, but you may just double check it.
I'll check that out. I did have the U-bolts retorqued, so that did happen.
Okay.
I've added an additional cooler, and I put a fan on the additional cooler, and the cooler I added is bigger than the OEM external cooler.
Nice.
And then I bought a thermostat controller that automatically turns the fan on, so I don't even have a switch for it.
Oh,
and
good.
I know it works because just cruising home on the freeway for 15 minutes when I pull into my driveway, it's off the freeway, and I park the truck. You hear it run for about 2 minutes, and then it shuts off all on its own.
Well, nice, man. We'll definitely check out that.
So it's fixed.
Yeah, it's done.
No, so I did the cooler. I did the cooler in late spring, early summer. I didn't have a problem all fall at all. But the day after Christmas, I went wheeling, and
all right.
big snowstorm and lots of trouble, and it did it while I was out there. I was so pissed.
Well,
Gotcha. One other question. Do you have axle shims on your rear axle?
I don't think so. So when you say shim, when I think of shim, I think of like an angled wedge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what
I don't think I have any angled wedges underneath there.
Also, I guess the other question is, do you have an aluminum drive shaft, or do you have the steel one? I can't remember if they.
It's aluminum.
Aluminum. Okay.
All right. Well, definitely. I know the Gen 2s. I know the Gen 1s. It's not as bad, but what Gen 2s, man, if it is like if you don't put that shim in there, what is it? The CV's popping.
There can be driveline issues. The higher you get, the more chance there is for a driveline issue. The CV basically just changes that alignment a little bit. I know a lot of it's not talked about as much on the Frontiers because you don't notice the shimmy that you would. Xterras, when you lift them, you'll notice a shimmy if you don't put the shim in. Yeah, so depending on how much you lift, et cetera, but it can happen pretty easily. I put one in mine, not necessarily because I didn't want the shimmy, but because it's just good to do to get to keep that driveline angle, exactly how it should be for factory. If that's it,
Gotcha.
maybe not, but it's it might be just one more thing to help diagnose if you think maybe there's some type of drive shaft issue.
And like always, you can always call our buddies at Niz Tech Lifts to Chris and the guys over there will always help you out with that, man. So Aaron, what do you guys got going on in your show here lately, man?
Well, actually, I mentioned that camping trip the day after Christmas. That's what this week's episode was the story of that camping trip. I call it the 19-hour camp trip. It went sideways pretty quick. I won't say too much, but the very first thing that happened was I got out to put some snow chains on, and when I bent over, my pants split from the middle of my crotch all the way up to the belt line. And anytime I've had a wardrobe malfunction, it's been horrible.
Well,
I just have a bad day.
Well, as long as you get it on podcast, that's all you can ask for, man. So where can our listeners, if they want to find you guys got a website or anything?
We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network, as we would say on our podcast. We just lost Angel.
Oh no.
Firearmsradio.tv. It's a bunch of different podcasts. They're all gun related except for ours, but we sneak gun related content into ours all the time because we like guns. And that's where you can hear us. We do a weekly show about everything off-road related. We try to get some guests on and talk some tech tips.
Nice.
So,
well, we were happy to be on. What that was over 2 months ago, I think it was, that y'all had it on. We were happy to be on.
Yeah.
You got a taste of the Dave and Danny show there a little bit, I think. So.
Oh yeah, you guys I think were the first ones that we recorded with. I don't think we put your episode out very first, but you were the first ones we recorded with.
So we set you up for failure is what you're saying. Oh man, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, so we had a good time.
Danny, screenshot that.
I don't know how. Sorry, if you're not on the Google Hangouts with us, you don't get to see the excitement that goes on behind the scenes of the podcast, man.
That's right, man.
That's right.
Good
I think
stuff going on.
I think we prepped Aaron a little bit. I think we screwed with you guys a little bit on that show. I think we did put on some hats or something.
How were the ratings for our show? I think that was the big question that we wanted to know.
It was a good, high-rated show. It was good.
It was no cheap show, but or Toyota show.
Megatron dead. Yeah, so,
Megatron.
So we jacked y'all's numbers up. Hopefully, like 5 listeners, 6 listeners from us.
No, those show. So we did what we're talking about here for your listeners is we did different vehicle guide to talk about different brands, and so I had you guys on for the Nissan brand, and we talked about the Jukes and the Murano Cabriolet and stuff like that. So you guys really talked it up. No, I'm kidding. We talked about the main 4-wheel drive stuff, and then we did other episodes. We did a Jeep guide. We did an international guide.
I think
just all kinds of stuff.
I think y'all had our buddies from the Toyota podcast, Jason Hoffman.
Yeah. Yep. We had him on for a Toyota one. We did a Hummer episode. Surprisingly, the Toyota and the Hummer episodes received the most hate mail.
Really?
You know what? I remember I listened to the Toyota episode, and then I think I remember listening to the second one, and there was like a disclaimer like, so we got an email or something, or somebody called in, and let's just make some things clear.
Yeah, we're not experts. We don't claim to be.
Yeah,
we just try to get as much info out there. Yeah, we got some hate mail on it, and I mean, it wasn't super hateful, but it was like, oh, you left this out and you left that out, and don't you know that this certain model of Toyota Tacoma comes with 16-inch wheels stock? I mean, it was like,
yeah. It sounded like someone hit you up who was like a couple steps beyond knowledgeable. Like, just take a drink, buddy. Have a sip.
Yeah,
relax.
Exactly.
Take a breath.
Well, here's the real test, Danny. Did we get any hate mail? Because it's not going to be a good show. We're trying to gauge our idiotness here.
We try to not lay down any real facts. That way you can't fact check us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's the key to our greatness. You can't be wrong if you're never right.
Danny, those are
there's
called,
those are called
facts. Those are called alternative facts now, Dan.
What's that, Dave?
So
those are called alternative facts now.
Alternative facts.
Alternative, yeah. Next week we're recording with Rogue Overland. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No.
Yeah, I was just out on a trip with them.
Got my Rogue Overland hat on right now.
Yeah, that's what reminded me. I forgot all about that. And yeah, you went on a trip with them. That looked like a awesome trip.
Dude, that was like the almost best trip ever.
Oh.
It had so much potential to be like a pants ripping trip, and it turned into like just one of the coolest trips I've ever been on.
Awesome, that's great.
I'm sure you'll hear all about it when you talk to those guys. But
are you going to do an episode about it? Talk about your travels? I think you talked about it a little bit, didn't you?
Did we cover that trip last pod? No, I don't think we did.
No, because this is probably the first podcast since then, actually.
Yeah. So I didn't quite.
I don't know.
Quite touch on that. So
I stalk you some, but not that much.
Damn it!
We'll have to do an official Action Suit Groot recap trip.
Yeah.
Oh,
he made a showing out there.
Full effect.
Oh, good.
Well. So, anything else? You want to promote anything else while you're out here, buddy?
Well, I wanted to ask the Groot about his Beetle because I have a Beetle.
Oh, the
gambler rig. Have you been doing anything on your gambler rig? I haven't seen any updates on that.
No, so the Beetle was a project one of my best friends that he picked up, and we started shopping and tooling on it and stuff and having fun. And then it was his daily driver.
Yeah.
And he just got tired of and like so me and him we surf a lot. And so strapping boards to the top of it and driving down the PCH in it is basically makes you feel like you're gonna die at any second. And literally when I drive in that, I feel more dangerous. It felt way more dangerous than when I was on my motorcycle.
Well, Danny, you got to put in the hard work when you're doing those kind of mods.
Yeah.
You know?
So he decided he was going to sell it. I told him to keep it just as a side fun job, but he sold it. He's like, I don't need this thing, so he sold it. So that hope and dream went out the window.
Well.
I do still have thoughts of doing the big gambler out in Oregon in July, but I think it's going to be a long shot.
Dude, well, you know what's funny, Danny? I'll be in Northern California at the end of July. When is this run again?
You're gonna have to Google-ate that, man. But it's like the OG gambler.
It is July 14, 15, 16.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm in there the next weekend. I'm hitting that Rubicon.
Sorry, bro.
And then there's a Washington gambler. So I'm up in Washington. There's a Washington one in June, at the end of June, 23, 24, 25.
Were you saying that you were going to do one?
I'm going to do them both.
Oh,
yeah. So
yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because I really want to get out to one.
Mm-hmm.
So even worst case scenario, if I drove my truck up there and just did like recovery for you guys, you know?
Yeah, and that's
just experienced it a little bit.
And that's the thing; they're like welcoming people to come do recovery with whatever they got. They want people to come. I thought they had a SoCal one.
They did, dude. I believe me, I was this close, but I ended up being out of town for something like important, because I was trying so hard to get. Like, I mean, I had my buddy like lined up. We both had like $250. We were like searching for cars, and then I was like, this. I don't know. It was something important. I don't remember what exactly, but
so
I was ready to buy it. I was ready to buy.
The real question is, when you do a gambler run, does the gambler show up and like start you off, Mr. Kenny Rogers, man?
Mr. Kenny.
Because
real quick before we get any further, just for those that don't know, the gambler it's like the Gambler 500, and it's basically a 500-mile. Somewhat off-road race. No, not 500-mile. It's an off-road race that's set up. It's like an unofficial race, and it's basically you go out and buy a $500 car or truck or whatever you got, and you go run it. And it's like this unofficial wild. It's like the 24 Hours of Lemons, but without any rules and.
Sorry, Danny. Grumpy Bear wants to talk.
It's not easy. It's not easy being on Google Hangouts with these two. Again, like I said, I can't implore people enough that when we have these Google Hangouts, there's a lot going on behind the scenes over here.
Oh, there is.
Grumpy Bears, hats,
bras.
I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the gambler.
Yeah, it's and it's not a race; it's a navigational challenge.
Yeah. It's not a race.
At the starting point,
not an event.
At the starting point, they hand you a list of GPS coordinates, and you're supposed to hit all of them. I don't know how many there is, maybe 10, and then you end up at some field or something and camp and party all night, and then you do the route backwards, but with 10 different checkpoints to hit on the way home.
Oh, so sweet. So if anybody is looking to do this from Southern California and wants to pitch in 50-50, buy a $500 vehicle, and drive it all the way up to Oregon.
Mountain Dew, Budweiser, anybody want to jump in and sponsor this $500 vehicle? Danny has a helmet and a fire suit, so he's
I have
safe.
a fire suit, so no, Dave, I have an action suit, bro. You know I'd run a gambler in an action suit the whole time. Never cleaned. Never washed. Run it.
And then
one of the teams drives like an 80s Cadillac Brougham, and they call themselves the Corduroy Cowboys.
Nice.
Danny, I could see you in the action suit. You come back, it's all a little bit muddy everywhere, and then you just frame that suit, dude. That's you put an end to that one, and you pick up action suit too. Well, Danny,
you never retire the action suit.
Yeah, you never retire the action suit. It retires you, isn't that right, Danny? Oh yeah. What? Danny, we got all kinds of I won't say all kinds of news, but we got important news, man. We do have some good stuff, man. Nissan, they did a partnership with. I'll just let Danny get into it. Danny, get into this big badass van. The 70s.
Man,
well, the 70s called.
In the middle
Danny.
of a burpee.
The 70s
drinking
called.
that Einstock. So yes, the NB Cargo X project. The X. What is it called? The Nissan NB Cargo X project van.
There's nothing
That's what it was.
Mouthful about that, is there?
Dave loves a mouthful. And so what happened is Nissan got with the extreme off-road television show, that crazy guy Ian that's always making some sweet stuff. And they made a NV cargo van that had the Cummins diesel in it. And they lifted it up pretty sweet. And they took it off-road and beat it up and modded it up. And so that was at the big Chicago... was it the Chicago Auto Show here just recently?
Right, and I think the van premiered last fall sometime on the TV show, didn't it? The Extreme Off-Road Television show?
Yeah, they kind of did like a hey, check this out, maybe we're going to build this thing.
Yeah. Well, what was it, like a Titan frame or something, and they modded the van body to fit the Titan frame, I believe?
Yeah, I think the van bodies they share kind of like the same frame.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different stuff, but at the same time, I believe the Titan was made off the NV frame.
Well, what they straight axled this thing. I mean, this is a
it's a boss truck. I mean, it's got like a JE reel drive shaft and 37s, was it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I don't have cable, so I've only watched like different YouTube videos, sneak peeks and stuff like that.
Yeah, this
37s.
It's definitely a flower getter or whatever people use commercial vans for. It's definitely, if you want to go to those far out places, that van's going to get you there, man. It
they put a bumper on it, and I mean, it looks pretty capable.
Yeah, and it's running those General tires you seem to like, and
X3.
Yeah. It's definitely it would be a killer overland vehicle. I mean, clearly they've and we'll post some pictures up on our website. They've definitely done this for commercial use. They got Nissan on the side of it and stuff. But man, you could put a rack on there. You could fit a couple rooftop tents on top of that thing, man, and just go for a week or two at a time.
Yeah, it look. I would love to have one of those, the little wheeling / overland rig.
The one thing I've seen on social media though that like people that really off-road notice is it doesn't look like they put rock sliders on the thing, and it shows in these videos some gnarly stuff.
Did you? Someone said that, and I believe. Where did I read it? I wanted to say it was like on the Extreme 4x4 site or something like that. They said Nissan, they were going to build them, and Nissan said, no, don't do that. We want it to look all beat up.
Well, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Like they had taken it off. They wanted it to be all beat up.
Well, I'll be honest, man. I've sent some emails for this thing to be at Went. So
yeah.
It hope and a prayer that we can see this. They brought some cool stuff to Went in the past, so this would be a killer thing.
That'd be super sweet.
And maybe we could meet Ian, man. And I've seen the guy, and he's a piece of work, man. He's loud like his hairdo, and he's an interesting fellow, man.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a great guy. We had him on our podcast, and I had to check out after the podcast was over, but I guess he stayed and talked for like 2 hours with the other guys on the show afterwards.
Oh, nice, man.
He's a real cool, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah, you ought to see what he drives around town, man. I see him in Franklin where they do their show here locally. And, man, he's got this big, I think it's a GMC dually extended bed. I mean, the thing's just massive. It's lifted ridiculous. And then it's got the little, I don't know what you would call them, spikes from the rims, man. It's like instantly who this guy is running around town.
I bet.
But yeah, I mean, it was interesting, Danny. They, with they put the diesel and stuff in this, and of course, the diesel's not currently in the van, but I could definitely see for commercial use where that might be practical for Nissan to do.
Yeah, especially they got those high tops that I'm sure they can.
Yeah, because the van of this thing, the van that Nissan does is very truck-like. They put a longer hood on than most conventional vans, and of course, all these new vans coming out are just weird shapes, and I guess they've actually thought people use them, so that's how they've designed these things. But let's see, Danny, you got anything else you want to talk about on that thing, or?
I think that's all. That's all we got for that. It was cool. Check it out I just posted up on our Facebook page.
Cool.
So if you're curious what we're talking about, it'll be on our Facebook page.
Well, we had big news this week, Danny. The gods have spoken, and it looks like the next Z, 8 or 9 years later, is coming to fruition. They, I don't think I've seen actually Nissan do the press release, but I've seen a dozen car magazines talk about how the next Z is going to premiere at the Tokyo Auto Show. I believe it's in the late summers when they do that one.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple people come up with concepts, like just random concepts that people come up with that are popping out here and there. People kind of postulating at what it might look like, etc. So, a couple of them were really cool. Just some Photoshop stuff. One of them was really, really nice, like a real rendering of a possible concept or something. So it'll be exciting to see what they come up with. With
Z News, man, there's always that iconic name that goes with the Z. What would they call this? And the game you play now is a lighter engine, smaller, and then you add some turbos and stuff to this. So right now, what they're saying this thing could be based on is the Q60, I believe it is, that Infinity's building right now. And generally, Infinity does share a platform with one of the Zs. So it would make sense, and I think they're offering, a 3-liter engine in that right now, and I think they're doing a twin turbo in the in the Z, and they're also talking about offering a hybrid edition with like a little 4-cylinder and a
right.
That really piques my interest, man, because hybrids, it's just that instant power. It's instant hang on, and let that engine build up, to catch up with it.
It's not. I doubt they would offer like the Prius style hybrid. It would be a powerhouse hybrid. Basically it's an extra electric motor for wicked torque curve kind of a situation.
Well, it's good to hear this kind of talk. They've the Z for some reason just seemed neglected. This version came out in 2003. I believe it was 7 when they changed to the 370Z when they give it a little bit bigger engine that the Infinity had. And then they've just kind of left it alone. They've played with some Nismo stuff with it a little bit, but that's really just trim packages. They've not really tweaked anything to the motor. So all the, in 15 years, if this thing come out next year, every kid and their brother would have one of these things. So unfortunately, they don't sell a ton of them new, but as soon as they hit 5 to 10 years old, it's like every kid drives down my road's got a Z out here. So.
And sales are starting to dip a little bit on them.
Yeah, they are, and because it's just a dated thing. It's that's Nissan's way of, I guess, kind of giving the finger to people sometimes, like they've done with the Frontier, and just tweaking it and just letting it go for 15 years. But, there's a lot of heritage to this car, so the next one's got to bring it. Because I really think if you think about 2003 when this car came out. There was really nothing small boxery like this thing. I guess Porsche, but you're talking 100K, probably even, I'd say even then for a 911S or something. So the thing that deters me with them wanting to come out with this car, though, is price point. All right, so when the GTR came out, I think it was $69,000, and what was that, 2009, I believe. And they instantly just started jacking the price up real lot. So Nissan loves price points. If you ever look at their SUVs, they've got, it's within $100 you can keep jumping up in SUV size. The thing that scares me with the Z is I'm seeing starting out about $50K with this car. And man, if I'm spending $50K, I'm damn near just going to jump to a Corvette, who's probably going to hold its resale value a lot better than in this thing.
If you buy a Corvette, you have to sleep with your sister, though. There's that.
Well, we are in Tennessee, sir.
That's right. My bad. Sorry.
No sleeping of sisters.
No respectable gentleman in California would buy a Corvette.
No, but I'm just saying, if people that buy sports cars are generally older people. It's their kids are gone. They're wanting to live their youth a little bit, and who's got, say this car does start out at $50K and the next vet, say it's entry level at $55 to $60K, which I don't keep up with vets, but I'm pretty sure that's about where they're at. Would you rather have something that's going to hold its value and it's not going to be collectible, the new vets aren't, but they're going to stay hold 45 for a couple of years, where this Z, say you give it 3 years and then you've got a $20,000 car.
Yeah, but I think the market that's looking at the Z, I doubt. I don't know. Maybe this is me postulating. I don't think it's the same guys that are looking at the at a Corvette.
Right, and that is true.
That's my feeling. I don't know. It could be
well,
true.
I've read
totally
that.
False.
I've read that the youth, the youth aren't buying sports cars like they used to. Even look at GM with the Camaro, man. The Camaro when it came out in the 60s was a no thrills, just fast car, and now it's like my grandfather's got one, sitting in his garage or something. That's what you do with them. So I get it. Doesn't mean I have to be happy about it.
I think the Z will be bought by the guy that sells stocks and wants to look cool.
Could you foresee their new partnership with Mitsubishi? Some weird, because Mitsubishi knows all-wheel drive cars. Could you ever see the Z going all-wheel drive?
I could. They'd give an option. Maybe they do like a super rad performance package, like a GTR style. Where it's a whiz bang, 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive with a twin turbo motor that's like a track monster. Maybe they do a track.
And that's when we went to what was that, Nismo Fest or whatever we went to out in California?
Nismo Fiesta.
Yeah, we seen Z's on the track like crazy, man. So, and Zion or Toyota, whatever they're calling that car now, in their partnership with Subaru, that could be the market this car plays in.
Yeah, but that's over, right? The FRS, didn't they? That was like a couple of years. Is the FRS still made, or is it still good?
No.
Or
well, since they killed Zion this year, they're transferring that over, and they're going to call it the Toyota. I forget what it was, GT or something.
MR2 Spider.
Yeah, but I think
Ninja Spider.
I think they're whatever it was that Toyota was actually keeping that car and the X.
Gotcha.
whatever they do.
Well, my thought with the merger with Nissan and Mitsubishi is they might all-wheel drive, and I think they're really I think they're gonna get some turbo stuff. Kind of is gonna start popping out everywhere. I mean, Nissan's already they love their GTR turbo cars, but Mitsubishi was they're kind of known for a lot of their turbo cars as well, the Evo, etc. And so I think they'll help each other in that aspect. Just kind of like Dodge and Mercedes kind of started trading off engines, and now you see small turbo stuff and coming in Dodge trucks.
Well, I've got something extra to add here for you, Danny. Something you really love, man. It's been reported all the sales figures are out, Danny, and I know how you love.
Yeah,
I know we need some theme music for sales figures. Well, something like
Nissan sales
lifestyles of the Nissan sales figures. but man, Nissan had a record-breaking year last year, man. They jumped, I think it was 3 or 4%. I think it was them and Ford are the only car companies that actually jumped last year in sales, which has to do with the Rogue. Rogue and Altima, they're just killing it with those cars. But I was surprised that Versa seems down, Sentra's down just a little bit, but Jesus, man, that Rogue is just selling crazy. Last month they sold 28,760 of those things.
I don't know if I've driven a Rogue in recently. Maybe I should go drive one, to see what the big business is all about.
Well, Danny, you've got a GoPro camera, right?
Yes, I do.
I've got a GoPro camera. We should go test drive one next week. You film your version.
I'll go Rogue test drive live.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Maybe I'll wear the action suit, dude. That's what I'm gonna do.
That would be awesome.
Action suit test drives the Rogue.
And maybe I can get my Care Bear.
Facebook.
I'll get my Care Bear outfit on and see if they let me test drive one in that. Oh man, I see our next YouTube video. I see our next YouTube video, man. We'll send it to your buddy out there that does our video production for us, and
yeah, buddy.
this is gonna be awesome.
Test drive.
But yeah, man, it trips me out that their sales. I mean, hell, the Frontier last month sold almost 4,000 in 1 month, man.
Yeah, it's down though, man. It's down.
Well, yeah, I think people do know. This year, they are premiering it this summer. I mean, I thought Detroit was going to be it, but it wasn't. But dude, Titan right now is killing it. Remember last year?
They're pushing Titans hard. They're pushing Titans like they should have a while ago.
Right.
Maybe they didn't want to push them their first year to get the kinks out or something. But I've seen those things pop up everywhere. I mean, even sales for Nistec for Titan stuff, new Titan stuff, is bumping up. I mean,
I read there is actually a report on that out. The why Nissan, we've talked about in the past where they cram every vehicle they have into one commercial. Well, I guess GM and Ford, man, their budgets just for trucks is ridiculous, man. It's like $100 million a year or something. They just budget just for commercials for trucks. So, if you're not selling the whatever Ford sells a year of that thing, you probably don't have no budget for that. But yeah, they've really pushed into the trucks, man, and they sold 2,768 of these things last month. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot when you go, well, Frontier outdid that thing. But last year when we discussed the old Titan, they were selling, 1,200 of those things. So, it's almost doubled sales. And, yeah, it's a new truck, but definitely having that diesel, having a different motor option for the gas. When they get the V6 ready, man, I really think that'll probably add another 1,000 a month to this thing. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how it plays out for sure.
Well, let's see here. Let's see what other numbers jump out at me. We were just speaking about that NV van. They sold 1,200 of that thing, man. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Armada is another one that sales have jumped up on. They've almost sold 2,000 of that, and that's a brand new vehicle, man. So people are definitely digging that thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to start catching on a little bit more with the Armada.
Well, I know Chris with Nistec said y'all were about to start developing some stuff for that, which is actually really cool.
Yeah,
man.
That's in development.
You know,
it's a little bit different. There's enough difference from the overseas one. I guess it's the Y62. There's enough difference from the overseas one where there's got to be not a significant but a minor change in parts that they're modding the overseas patrol, which is the Armada here. So it's going to be a little bit more as far as R&D on what works, what doesn't, to get parts on those. But they're capable, cool trucks. So.
Well, I've seen some new ones being modified by our buddies at Black Watch Customs, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I guess what really stands out to me in this list is the Cube and the Xterra are still on this list, man. They didn't sell any last month, but let's see, last year they sold 3 Cubes last year at this time. And Xterras last year at this time they sold 18. So hey, we're keeping the spirit alive here. But yeah, Pathfinder 7,000. Jesus, man, that ugly thing.
It's a minivan. It's weird because they sell more Pathfinders than they do quests by a long shot. And the Pathfinders, I mean, it's a minivan.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You know, just put a sliding door on it, and that's what it is.
Right.
So.
Well, that's those are alternative facts, man. So I don't want to get into that, you know. But well, Danny, what else? Got any other fun things? We haven't. I haven't asked you about your race truck because I know what the answer is going to be on that one.
Yeah. Actually, I got a payment going over to them, so we got more fab time coming real soon.
Nice,
so,
man.
Please.
And if you would like to go fund Danny in his racing
dream,
me.
Buy the stuff through Amazon. Maybe I'll get a couple bucks.
Yeah,
Send
man.
That all straight over. But every penny goes straight to the fab time.
Wait, not our Amazon. I'm trying to fund us to get somewhere else.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
I can't even fund us to get an airplane ticket right now. And speaking of Amazon, guys, we appreciate any love you give. Our buddy Chema that was on here a little bit ago, he's a big contributor to our Amazon account. All we're doing is trying to save for to make some events this year. We've sold some patches. I'm about out of patches, Danny, which is a good sign.
Yeah,
I've got a new design coming out for patches, so
cool. Yeah.
But yeah, show us some love on Amazon. I'm not going to beat you over the head with it today. Go see Niztec Cliffs, our buddies over there, Danny, Xterra Performance, Lifestyle Off-Road. Who else can I plug in here? Go visit Aaron. What was the name of your show again?
The Off-Road Podcast.
The Off-Road Podcast. Go visit them. Maybe I don't know if they have an Amazon account. They you know, they got. I guess you deal in guns over there too. I've heard the gun ads, so I know that one. So if you need any guns, go see Aaron. If you need car parts, you stick with us, guys.
Yeah, we've got a Brownells link that works kind of like the Amazon thing does. Brownells is a big online gun parts.
Nice.
Good to know.
Danny's bookmarking that right now.
I have a super legal California lower receiver that I need to build.
Having it shipped to
Nevada? Anyhow, I shouldn't say that out loud. No. Hey, I got a tech tip from me over a little tech tip today too.
Wait, speaking of tech tips, Danny, I liked your I like how you did the video, man. Let's talk about that just for a second. What you surprised me with that, man. I was like, what is Danny doing in a garage with parts everywhere?
Well, so here's the deal. I made that video in my old house probably 4 months before I moved. So almost 8 months ago. And I think I did it all on my phone, or I don't even remember how I recorded. I didn't even have a GoPro at the time. And I loaded it all up in my computer, and for some reason it was not, I couldn't edit it, and it was all messed up. So I had some extra time, and I finally got around to, you know what it was? Is I had to do that all in like one take. I think I ended up editing it into like 2 takes, but basically, like, I got it wrong so many times because the camera that I had. Yeah, long story short is I had to get it to where everything was correct in one take. Oh, Dave, hold on a second. Thigh cramp.
And this show was brought to you by Danny's Chiropractor. Danny's hopping around his bedroom over there. I think it was the bra that Aaron put on his head.
Oh, Groder's out. Hold on.
He's down for the count.
Well, while Groders is down for the count, we'll do
It's now time for Tech Tips with Daniel Groders, brought to you by Niztech Lifts, your number one source for off-road parts and accessories.
Thanks for that intro. I just had a hamstring cramp up on me, and I'm a little out of sorts.
Do you have a
Get through this.
Do you have a hamstring tech tip?
Water.
Yeah. If you're going to hamstring somebody, make sure to get the bacon parts. Let's move on to the tech tips. So this one is straight from the big man at Niztech himself. No matter how you lift the front of your Nissan, if you intend on lifting it more than half an inch, you do indeed need adjustable camber bolts.
Yes.
So 2005 was the only year Nissan installed adjustable cam bolts from the factory on the Xterras, Frontiers. So if you don't have one, if you don't have adjustable cam bolts, obviously you can call Niztech. They'll send them out to you. Well, you have to buy them, and then they'll send them out to you. And you'll save a huge amount of money by not burning up your tires. And I actually kind of did this. I put a lift on my truck early on, and I realized I didn't have cam bolts, so I ordered them. But I was driving on my mudders for, I don't know, it was like a week or something like that before I had a chance to put my cam bolts on, and I did damage to my tires. And once you do damage to your tires, especially if they're towed out or the camber's super out on them, it takes a lot of life out of your tires very, very, very quickly.
I've seen Danny's tires he's talking about. It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Basically, I ran through a set of mud trains, and it was a $300 procrastination situation. So when you put the cam bolts in, after you're done lifting it, drive over it, get it aligned.
Yes.
If you don't have any idea what I'm talking about with the camber bolts, Niztech Lifts has some great customer support. So if you want to call them and just chat with them, the number is 303-388-6111. So you can get all your questions answered anytime you want.
Nice, man.
And that was the end of Tech Tips, and I think I need some Icy Hot on my hamstring.
Some Bengay.
I'm in a lot of pain right now.
Well, yeah, that was funny, man. We did see that on me and Chris were talking on Facebook with comment, and some guy was like, I've lifted my truck 3 inches and I've never put cam bolts on there. And I'm like, good going, buddy, because I've not torn up my tires. And it's like, what, did you literally just put it on there? Because that camber's right, dude. You're just killing the inside of those tires, man. So
yeah, it's cam bolts are a must.
Good job, Danny. Danny eats again this week, man. Chris is gonna feed him.
Let's see. Buy those cam bolts so I can eat.
Yeah,
buy cam bolts so I can build race truck.
Arms of the angel. You're like that puppy commercial, the little sad dog. Every cam bolt sold. We donate a percentage to the Daniel Groders Fund.
It goes to Daniel Groders' lifelong race truck dreams.
Where's Sarah McLaughlin when we need her? Well, man, this has been fun. I can't believe that we've promoted this for 3 weeks and we've had like 3 people show up. We could have had more, but maybe they're a little shy, Danny.
It's okay. We have Aaron coming on strong.
We did, man. I appreciate Aaron stopping by, man, and hopefully he'll take our feeble advice to heart and he'll go buy.
Yeah, and Aaron, if you keep running into problems, give Chris give Chris over at Niztech a call. He's far more knowledgeable than I am. I just have experience from here and there. He's done way more work on trucks than I have,
So Danny, when
they run into problems,
when they would lift a BMW Z3 or whatever they called it,
if you end up getting a Z3 and putting it on 35s, then call me.
Okay.
Well, that radiator option's a lot cheaper than what I was considering. So
yeah, there you go.
I was thinking about Titan swapping the drivetrain.
Well, you know, I
Wouldn't
mean, you
do
should
that
do
either.
that. You should do that anyway.
You know, if you have an M226 rear end,
I believe so. It's got the e-locker in it.
So
it's a Nismo.
yeah, so you do. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it should be good.
well, cool.
I don't
Man.
know.
Go ahead.
I'm thinking if I just bought a whole wrecked Titan that had a good drivetrain, I could Titan swap the suspension, the axles, the drivetrain.
You could. That
Yeah.
would be cooler. And let me just tell you, Dave, a Titan swapped Nissan truck is like, you remember back in the day when you had to hit a baseball off of a tee and you're like, hey, that was fun.
Yeah.
And then someone pitched a hard ball at you and you hit it and you blasted it. That's the difference. You're like, wait a second. It's harder, but it's better.
Usually harder is better.
Well, they
Harder
say
is better.
they say that like sassing a first gen is like that too, but it's caused me nothing but grief. So
Sassing a first gen is like going to Vegas with a big pocket full of money and then coming home with a rash.
yeah.
Well, at least your sass.
I will say, dude, I've been tempted. Before we get out of here, I have been tempted just to sell that damn thing and just Titan swap my truck and be done with it, man. But,
I was actually thinking about that the other day, and I agree. That's what you should do.
Shut up! I've got like $3,000 in this truck now, man. Let's not. No bueno. Stop. But well, good, man. Let's wrap this up. Aaron, we appreciate you being on tonight, man, and being a pal and listening to our misinformation.
And if you need an action suit guy to possibly hop on your podcast, you let me know. Okay, the action suit shoots guns and he off-roads, so just saying, special guest.
If I didn't have such a small gambler rig, I'd invite you to come navigate.
Well,
Hey
you can
man,
throw 'em
all
on the
around
roof.
the roof.
Yeah.
Action suit don't care.
We were going to buy a short bus, but a Volkswagen Beetle, a 98 new Beetle popped up, and so that's what we're rocking now.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, he's
I
got
think
pictures.
I saw some posts on
Yeah,
that.
he's got pictures of it.
I got it lifted 3 inches, and today I was test fitting tires, and I'm going to get 2 more inches of lift out of tires. So
What size tire are you going?
it's a 225 70 16, so it's a 28.5-inch tire on a Volkswagen
Yeah,
Beetle.
that's freaking awesome, dude. Did you have to cut into some fenders on that or what? Little trims?
I don't know yet because I just test fit 1 tire. So the back is going to be just fine, but the front,
The turning and stuff.
we'll just melt it. We'll light a fire under there.
Nothing little BFH can't fix, right?
Hey,
That's
and
right.
if it was diesel after the fact when you had your fun, you could just drop it off to Volkswagen and they'll write you a check for it. So,
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not the diesel. I wish it was. That'd be sweeter.
yeah. Well, dude, like I said, we appreciate you being on here, man. And Danny, I've got nothing else to talk about tonight, man.
That's about it.
I've got
Short and sweet.
short my butt. This was over an hour, dude. We're cranking it out,
skip
man.
it. Long and sweet.
just
You know what? This could be the Groders podcast because it's nice and long and sweet.
Well, that's what this is.
And there's just 3 dudes.
So it's like basic training.
On that note,
Yeah, so on that note, man, my name is David Boyd, and from everybody here at the Nissan Nation podcast, we super appreciate y'all. And Danny, take us out, buddy.
see ya.
We're out. Peace, everybody. Love y'all.